Welcome or welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things planning, journaling and stationaries. Today is a bit of a unique case where I have my phone with me, but we will touch on that a little bit later. Today I want to share my new book that I started after doing the 30 days challenge. So I have done my summer one book challenge with Traveler's Notebook. I really like the experience. I have shared several videos, so if you haven't checked it out and you are curious about using Traveler's Notebook as a planner, I recommend going back to those videos. But after doing 30 days, what I realized is I really like using Traveler's Notebook more for journaling, more for like studying, rather than like keeping day-to-day to-do list. So yeah, now we are done with the 30 days challenge and I started using my notebook for some different purposes, and it's been almost a month that I feel like it's ready to say that it's working, and I'm really enjoying my new Commonplace book. So this video is all about how I started my Commonplace book, which is a hybrid system of Traveler's Notebook and Notion, which is very new for me, but I won't get into the details. So let's take a look at my Commonplace book. So I started using my Traveler's Notebook for my journaling and commonplacing books since August. So yeah, it's been almost a month with it, and I really feel like it's working out quite nicely. So in this Traveler's Notebook Kyoto edition, I have two notebooks. One is Kakurie. This one I am using it for my daily journaling. I have done a specific video on this one, so if you're curious about adding a very nice cream colored 5mm grids notebook, which has a bit of stylogy vibe from the exterior wise, I will put the link in the description box below. So this is here, and then my very old how do you call it, this plastic thing to keep some ephemeras and things here. I also have this size file for some deco, and then this is the Commonplace book that I normally keep inside this string thing. But yeah, this is it. So let's just get started. So what is Commonplacing book? So originally I started seeing very beautiful spread in Instagram and I got very curious. And I think I started my very first Commonplace book last year with my moleskin pocket without so much thought. And I enjoyed it for like a few times, but maybe because I just did it because of the aesthetic purpose. It really didn't work out. It didn't stick with me. But this time I had done a bit of thought before I really started using the notebook. And today I want to share with you how I am doing my Commonplace book. So what is Commonplace book? So according to what I have done some research myself, it's a place where we capture everything that struck my heart. Whether it's coming from podcasts, whether it's coming from some quotes that I saw on Instagram, or whether some notes from the article or the blog post I read on the internet. And as far as 4 weeks into Commonplace booking, I only captured what I found on the articles. I'm not so keen to like collect quotes on Instagram or like find funny memes on the internet. So basically I'm doing a copy of the articles. And main difference between journal and Commonplace book is journal is my thought, my idea, my inspiration. Commonplace book, on the other hand, is purely coming from someone else who has written it. So I don't have a credit for it, but I'm just keeping it here, kind of copy pasting, but with the handwritten style, so I can come back to the notes whenever I feel like it. And so how I started doing it is, if you just look at the notebooks, I think this feels pretty common to see on internet. So there's this margin, the copy paste from the article that I read, and what makes commonplacing aesthetic is this dot sticker thing. This is, I don't know who started it, but it's always like this when you see a commonplace book recently on the internet space. But each of these colors signifies the topics. So when you're referencing it, it's kind of easy to track. Just to give you an idea, so I haven't done like a pretty key setup or anything. I just started with sticky notes with my pencil, but yellow is my hobby, so like notebook, journaling related articles. So as I was starting my Commonplace book, I read a few articles on what is Commonplace book, how to start, how to keep Commonplace books. So those are here. And blue is some what was the blue? Oh, this is like a motivation, self-help, improvement tips and hacks of like efficiency, productivity, all that kind of stuff. And green is a business idea, some inspiration that I got. And then red is family, parenting. And then the final one, the white, is wellness, mental health or exercise, all that kind of stuff. So as I was going through some entries, I picked up some trend, what I really likes to capture. So those are the 5 topics that I came across. And then so far, 4 weeks in, all of what I'm reading falls under this category. But if more things come up, I don't have any other color, so I think I just have to keep it blank. But so far it's been among these 5 categories somehow. And so I would copy paste from the article, writing by my hand, and then sticking this color sticker. And something that I did so that Commonplace becomes a habit is introducing a hybrid system. So this is just a notebook, but what I introduced is I started doing Commonplace book in Notion. I am pretty new to Notion. I mean, I only know the basics, but what I am doing is as I am reading some articles on the internet, because you forget which one you've read, I started capturing them on this Notion. So for example, I was listening to a podcast by Kendra Adachi, the Lazy Genius Way, and she was sharing the 13 principle of her Lazy Genius Way. And I thought, oh, this 13 is very interesting. So I went to some of the articles online, and I have put the links to the articles, and I have copy pasted some of the interesting paragraphs that I found there. And it's just sitting here like this. So any other topics, this was a bullet journal newsletter, and whatever that comes up in my mind when I started Googling, I try to look for some nice articles to read, and then I would just drop them in Notion so I can come back to it later. So this is what's happening during like any time, evening time, lunchtime. When I'm reading something, I try to open this and just stick it there for future reference. And then what I'm trying to do is to come back to this at least once a week, and then try to like copy paste, maybe not the 100%, but so I do copy paste from the articles here, and then I would reread it, which is like nice way of recapping what I thought is nice. And then I would take somewhere around like 80% of what I put it there, and then I'm just copy pasting it here. And once I've done it, I will put it on like I have reviewed, so I know which one is here, which one is not. And I think that system is working quite well because, we're not always carrying a notebook. We don't have enough time to rewrite things here as we are Googling something. So having a place to just dump as much as possible, and then trying to build a habit of sitting down with the notes, maybe during the weekday evening when I just want to feel like write something, I go back to it and then write it here. And something also I started doing is, because those are the articles that inspired me, which was like worth writing it down. For example, I was reading an article about morning time with kids. And since we are in the summer holiday season, I thought, oh, maybe this is something I can introduce. So this was a bit more like a homeschool situation. We are not homeschooling, but since the kids are at home, I thought, oh, maybe I can introduce some aspect of morning time together. And there were some activities were shared on the article which struck my eyes. So within this margin space, I have a mini to-do list or idea list that struck my ideas. So I would write them down, and then when I'm coming back to the notebook, I know what I wanted to do, and then already some of the things are crossed off. For example, when I started my Commonplace book, I got really inspired. So what I have written here as my Commonplace book to do or inspiration is start my Commonplace book, category idea, and review system. So 4 weeks in, I have started my Commonplace book. 4 weeks in, I have done a category idea. It was an idea, but I think it stuck with me, so I'm gonna run with this. Review system, this is something I'm still thinking, but rather than reading line by line every time, I know what I picked from this and I know how I want to incorporate it into my life. So this two system, using Notion to capture everything, and then also as I am writing, I'm not just doing this decoration, but using this margin to really utilize the information in my daily life, has been working quite well. So yeah, some of the things are already like done, checked off. Some are still like brainstorm ideas, that's not happening. And yeah, I quite like it. And what I noticed after I started doing this Commonplace book activity is that now I am very cautious when I am looking for information. So this is when we went to coffee shop and one of my friends was getting a decaf coffee. And I never actually thought of decaf coffee. I mean, of course I know about it, but I never bought it myself. And like I started thinking, well, how do we make decaf coffee? I know it's not 100% caffeine free, but I know it's decaf. So, I started thinking how good it is, how that would change something, and then I started also thinking, oh, then like, what is the current discussion on how many cups of coffee we are allowed to drink, all things. And then rather than just thinking and forgetting, I kept this decaf cards that we got there. And this was like a good reminder for me to look for some articles for the coffee. So, it's all those small things that we Google on a day-to-day basis, but knowing that I'm going to capture information and put it in my notebook in the future, I'm really looking for like nice information to absorb. So that has been a good side. And also what I noticed is, because I introduced this sticker, not just to make the notebook pretty, I mean, that was the original intention, to be honest, but I think if I would just be true to myself, I would always just look for notebook information or like a productivity hacks and maybe self-improvement kind of documents. That's where I would often go to. But now that I have this family and parenting sticker, when I notice I've been like too focused on business or too focused on other things, I try to like remind myself, oh, I haven't researched anything on the parenting. What can I do? And then that's how to spend summer with kids, how to enjoy kids staying at home research came in. So, and then I even like started looking for some homeschooling options. I mean, I'm not thinking about homeschooling, but that's something that I thought, oh, I haven't really thought about it in depth. So I started looking for some information, pros and cons. And yeah, this is very fun project. So now I have been doing this Notion and notebook hybrid system for 4 weeks. I can imagine myself continuing this for the time being. I'm already, I wouldn't say halfway, like a quarter into my notebook. So if I continue with this pace, it would take 3-4 months to finish the book. And I want to see how my learning journey goes, because I think this is kind of interesting. Now it's summer, I've been checking about homeschooling, summer activities with kids. But yeah, within 4 weeks, things start changing. Oh, we also had big full moon the other day. And normally I would just look at the moon and think, oh, it's a pretty moon, and done. But I started researching for some full moon information, like moon ritual, what does it mean, what we can do. And yeah, it's just all those small things that happen in a day-to-day basis that otherwise I won't even research. I might have some question mark in my head, but I wouldn't look for some articles. But now that I'm doing this, I am kind of eager to look for some articles. So I'm learning a bit, and I think it's kind of interesting to see how my interests kind of moves around. So yeah, this is what I'm doing. So just kind of recap is that how the system works is day-to-day wise, I open my Notion to capture whatever I read, and then I would let it sit for like a week. So what I am writing today is something that I read last week. That is also like a nice way for revising what I read. And interestingly, even if it's only after 7 days, I have already forgotten quite a few things. So yeah, I'm reading, jotting things into the system, the Notion, and then I'm writing it here. So I also want to like incorporate a bit more of reviewing. Like I already, what I have written early August is slowly fading away from my brain. So I want to like come back to it. So I cross off some of the things that I thought interesting to do. And I think that's the learning cycle habits that I can continue doing. So yes, if you are looking for some inspiration, how to start Commonplace book, don't start just because it's pretty. That's what the mistake that I made last year. But having a system to keep going has been a big game changer. I didn't think that I would enjoy hybrid methods of using Notion because I really don't want too much of phone in my life. But yeah, since I'm transferring information, I do need some place to store the articles. So that's been, yeah, pretty well. And just overall, I really like writing things from the article. This is very like, I can do it even when I'm just almost sleepy. This is like my writing therapy without using too much of brain because I'm not composing any writing, if you know what I mean. So yeah, this has entered my notebook stack and I've been enjoying it. I want to see how this notebooks goes, but so far so good and I'm really enjoying it. So I will keep you updated. If there's any tweaks I make, I will share with you in the future video. So thank you very much and see you soon. Bye.